whatever it might be. Let me tell you, when we stand before God, we're only going to be so thankful His Word directed us to do the right thing, and that we did our very best to do it.
Amen.
Because if you try to walk with one foot in the world and one foot in the church, there's one thing that's going to happen. You're going to get split in two.
That's right.
And
Amen.
you're usually going to fall toward the world, because our flesh agrees with the world, amen?
Amen.
These things are all called normal now. I mean, it is normal. Look at the normalization of gay marriage. I mean, I tell people in Washington State, we didn't mess around. We legalized gay marriage and marijuana in the same day last year. From the front door of the church I go to, Shannon, I could take a sand wedge and I could hit it and hit the building on the driveway to our church that is a marijuana shop. In my town of 60,000 people, as far as I know right now, there are at least 10 of them, maybe more. I don't go around looking, but I see them out there all the time. And at church, we were told there was 10 of them. Just think about that. That's what we've got to deal with out there. But y'all know that's coming here too. That door's open. Colorado and Washington opened up. It's coming. Is it any wonder our society merely follows the government, the lawlessness in our government? Think about it. You know, the government makes rules, and then it changes its mind. Congress passes laws. The executive branch refuses to enforce them. Think about it. Would the people want to live by the law if the government won't do it, and the government's the one making the laws? But that's what we have. This is a lawless time. Think about the cover-ups. The NSA, the IRS, the CIA, and all the rest of the acronyms you can put together. Just think about it. By the way, if they're spying on me, they're not getting much. They're spying on me. We're finding out little incremental things that they've been letting out now, the things that have, the way they've been searching and tracking us, and so on. But it's nothing new. It's nothing new. If you get a chance, read Daniel chapter 6. Because Daniel chapter 6, the king made an edict that nobody could worship any other god but him for 30 days. Now, his advisors got him to do that. And he made that edict. That sounded really good to his flesh, to his ego. Well, Daniel just couldn't do that. So Daniel, he opens his windows toward Jerusalem, and he prays to his God. By the way, that was nothing Muhammad figured out. See, he grafted that from the Jews. Muhammad put all these other religious ideas together in King Islam. So, if you're supposed to, if you're a Muslim, pray toward Mecca, right? Well, Daniel's praying toward Jerusalem. And what's going on? The NSA is outside his window spying. They're watching. And they're taking notes, and they go back to the king. And because of that, Daniel was thrown in the lion's den. You all know that story. So nothing new. Nothing new. Oh, and don't forget, if you like your doctor and your health plan, you can keep them. Don't forget that one. And we chuckle at it, but, I chuckle at it too. It's really not very fun when you have the face of America telling us those things. The sign number 6 could be lawlessness. It's a time when people have disregard for any absolutes. That's what postmodernism gave us, as you'll see this evening. Sign number 7, the rise of the supernatural. It appears to me that the world, just not America, but the world is hungering after God, after some sort of supernaturalism, but they don't want the God in the Bible. They want some sort of God force, but they really don't want God. How tragic. It was this topic that drew us together in the very beginning, as you all found me because you were searching for information about the Harry Potter books and so on. There's this insatiable, unstoppable appetite for the supernatural around us, but not for God. We're witnessing a cult explosion that I don't think people that came before us could have ever dreamed would happen. In the 1970s, 80s, and 90s, the New Age movement became mainstream. In the 1980s, very few of us knew some of the words that I was using as a practicing New Ager in the 1970s. And I looked at it after I got saved and realized really people around really don't understand unless you lived in the Seattle or Vancouver, D.C. area, because that was really the center of hotbed of the New Age at that point in time. But the occult and the paranormal have gone mainstream, if you haven't noticed. And now we've become so accustomed to these supernatural themes that we see all around us. It kind of boggles my mind that on Sunday, The Walking Dead is the #1 show. We have the zombie craze, we have the vampire craze, we have the werewolf craze. Everybody's talking about magic and the supernatural. They're not following God. And we got Christians say, oh, nothing wrong with that. Oh, these are great shows. Look at all the special effects. Let me talk about that. Concerning the popularity of the occult and supernatural themes that we see in the books and TV shows and the motion pictures and the gaming on the internet and so on, science fiction is now called supernatural fiction, maybe the most lucrative part of the entire entertainment business. And it's obvious Hollywood keeps making it because we keep buying it, or the world keeps buying it anyway. See, we have this idea of the occult and supernatural come in our direction all the time, over and over again and again. I want to give you a survey that was taken in 2001. The ARIS survey, which is also called the American Religious Identification Survey. Now, they take these regularly, and they haven't taken one for 10 years. So between 1991 and 2001, they found that the amount of people who identified as being Christians, anybody, by the way, can call themselves a Christian, doesn't mean they are, but the amount of people that identify with the word Christian dropped by almost 10%, from 86.2 to 76.5% in that 10-year period. So we have a decline of people wanting to identify with Christianity. But during that same period, the amount of people who identified with Wicca, witchcraft, or paganism rose by 1,675% in that 10-year period. And this, to me, proves the point that the world is saying no to Jesus, no to God the Father, but yes to anything else that looks supernatural, because they need something to fill up that void. The culture is being desensitized about the occult. And here's the result, my friends. The occult is now normal.
Yes.
And it's never been like that in civilized man's history. The occult is now normal. Many of you have it, and you know I've written Entertaining Spirits Unaware, and we've done a pretty good update on it out there. So my biggest book I've ever written is on this topic. This describes the days just before Antichrist appearance. 2 Thessalonians 2:9. You should read it and dissect it. I took it apart looking at the Greek words to get the meanings of the words underneath the English, and looked at it. I've got a DVD out there about the occult and the end times. And I believe it's a prophetic fulfillment. This is just a little part of that one. The method of the deception that will be rampant in the end days will come through signs and lying wonders, to quote King James. Y'all familiar with the passage?
Yes.
Signs and lying wonders. Well, the word right there, lying, is the word pseudo. And that's the word we get pseudonym from. By lying, it means it will appear to be something that it's really not for deception. It'll appear to be something that it isn't. It's a pseudo. It's similar to. It's like, but it's not anything but a counterfeit. And that's really the word that's used in some of the modern translations. I think the old 1984 NIV version used the word counterfeit right there. A counterfeit. Today, we are all being, listen carefully, especially young people. Today, we are all being conditioned to accept as normal signs and lying wonders, which is the condition just before Antichrist comes. I believe that's just before Jesus comes. Paul says the man of sin can't come on the scene until these things take place. And how are they being brought to us? Every day we're seeing supernaturalism on movie screens and television sets and computer monitors that look so real. So many ads on TV. You look at it and you go, how are they doing that? But it's all with computers, because they have the technology and the computer ability that they didn't have before to make things look exactly like it was a real life event that would be impossible to do. Especially impossible to do in a movie. Think about the realism of the occult and how it's being brought out, the supernaturalism in the motion pictures. I mean, I saw the trailer for the movie Noah. I'm going to take just a second and talk about it, because you need to hear this. Hollywood has a movie coming out March 28th about the life of Noah. And, I mean, it has got fabulous special effects in it. The only problem is the guy who made the movie is a Gnostic. He's really a cultist. Darren Aronofsky. His other movies have proven it. And Russell Crowe gave a 40-second interview where he told the world exactly the view of Noah in the movie, because he plays Noah in the movie. He said Noah was really a bad guy. And Noah would have killed the human race if he could have. That it's Noah's fault the human race was dwindled down to 8 people. That even though God told him to do these things, it was really all about Noah. They make one of the most important characters of the Old Testament the face of evil. Doesn't that just sound like the world? You know what else they do? The reason God destroyed the earth by water was because man had destroyed the environment. They're making an environmental movie. So don't be confused when you see the title Noah. Because it's a movie that is anti-biblical and anti-God. We've already done radio on it. We've got to get ahead of the curve on some of this stuff. And we're going to warn people that show's going to be played in 2 weeks. So just be aware. Because we see Son of God movie, which might be okay. I don't know yet. I'm going to go to it next Saturday afternoon when I'm on the East Coast. But Noah, I can tell you, is anti-God, anti-biblical, is against God. Saying that God was an evil character. He decided he had to destroy the planet because of what man had done. He created man. It was his fault. It all points back to God. That's the way the world treats these things. And they're going to have this surround sound and the huge screen that really, just think about the way you're affected when you walk into a movie. You walk in, you're going to be entertained, you think, and all this stuff comes at you, and it's a complete sensory experience, but it's teaching you that the supernatural is normal all the time. And in God's economy, supernatural is normal. The problem is people aren't following after God in it. We're being desensitized this way for the coming of Antichrist. Because when Antichrist gets here, there are going to be real live signs and wonders that he and his evil magicians are going to present to the world. So this is preparing the mindset of the world. 50 years ago, 60 years ago, Antichrist could not have shown up, my friends. Because the mindset of the world wasn't ready for him. But today, we become ready for him. Number 8, knowledge. People know more today than they ever have. Or they think they do anyway. There's an awful lot of learning out there, and not too much common sense in a lot of places. But there is this knowledge base we never had before, and Daniel 12 speaks directly to it. Daniel is the most important book in the Old Testament when it comes to prophecy. And Daniel chapter 9, many of us believe, if you didn't have Daniel 9, you couldn't understand the book of Revelation. That's how important it is. They're tied together. No wonder Daniel's been under such attack for so long. It says here, there'll be a time of trouble, such as never was since there even was a nation. In other words, before anything, there's never been any kind of time of trouble, and Daniel's looking ahead at what's going to happen in this vision God has given him. As Michael's speaking about this, and you look at this. Daniel is talking about this, that in the future, in